Hey everyone, this is Rod at the Dragon Winged Inn. I've got a new battle report for you. This is one that actually I recorded a couple of weeks ago and just have been had a bunch of stuff going on and haven't really sort of put it down in the middle and then forgot to pick it back up again. So finally trying to push to get this done. Anyway, the theme of this battle is pardon me. Um, I bought the OP kit with the Vrock. Maybe it's 9 or 10. But it had the party leader upgrade in it, and that's something I've been wanting to try out. So me and Jay drafted adventurers according to the criterion of this party leader card. We drafted armies of small based unique characters with heroic upgrades, and we each put together our own list with the caveat that we'd use those characters we drafted, and we would have party leader on at least one of them. And the draft was pretty simple. We just lined up all the characters we wanted to be able to pick from and took turns picking them. And you'll see who we picked. Not necessarily a surprise, at least in my case. I don't think. My taste is pretty predictable. But and then we just played a game. What party leader does is the character who has party leader is given an action, and then every character within range 3 who meets the qualifications, small based, unique, not a troop, not a siege engine, has heroic upgrades, can be given a free action from their action bar, including the character who used it. So it gets 3 time tokens on it, so you can use it again later in the game potentially. But it's a pretty powerful effect. If you've got a bunch of these little adventures, you can have them all stacked with 2 tokens or with 2 actions, whatever actions you want to do, and really get a lot out of them on your big turn. So we will go ahead and see how that went for both of us, and I will show you the lists. So here's my list. You'll see some characters that I've used before, some of my favorites. I won't go into too much detail this time, I think, on upgrades that we've seen and characters that we've seen multiple times. I'll just try to give you a general impression and talk about upgrades that we haven't seen yet. So first of all, we've got Nemestra, the Sun Elf Wizard. She's got leadership, staff of power, and disintegrate combo, which I use frequently, so she can disintegrate, disable staff of power instead of spending the token. And with party leader in the mix, she can potentially be doing quite a bit. Of course, I also gave her True Strike, which she can do that as an action, and it's sort of like a one-shot. Gives her the ability to do the effects of a concentrate and a target, and then that card discards. So in a way, it's actually kind of overkill, but I guess I needed 1 point, and I thought I wanted to try something different. I also gave her Suggestion as a typical control spell that I use. And then I've got Owen Montes, the Earth Genasi fighter. I built him pretty pretty heavily as a melee fighter to throw a lot of dice. Furious Blow, using 1 time 2 dice boost. Frost Battle Axe, give him an extra die. Cleave it's a disable to give him a range 2 cone where his melee attack hits everyone in a range 2 cone. Knowing that we were going to be running 5 characters each, I figured there was probably going to be a time when he'd have 2 guys available to be hit, at least 2 guys available to be hit by Cleave, and so it came to pass. And I also gave him Boots of Balance, so he can disable those to pivot and still be able to take an action. So a lot of what I was doing with him was planning on matching up against Drizzt, and knowing that Drizzt is very tricky and maneuverable, and has a lot of defense dice. I wanted to be able to just throw a lot of dice at him and make sure that I was able to have Owen Montes track him and keep him in his arc. So that's how I built for there. Next, I've got Talon Everhail, the Human Ranger. She's got Brilliant Energy Arrows, which is a 1 time makes her attack penetrating, and that's it. I actually think for her cost, she hardly needs anything more. She's a very good character with her special ability to carry tokens around from turn to turn, which I think I forgot all about this game. But I think she's a very effective character for a cost with maybe just one or two upgrades on her. Next, we've got Dragonfly the Grey, the Druid with some Dark Leaf. That's his little armor. I think it actually came with Talon, but it's good on him too. Cure Wounds for some healing, Command for some controlling other creatures' movements, and Magic Stone is a kind of a little ranged attack spell that you can convert a hit to a crit, and could come in handy. And finally, I've got like a Ulfgar with tons of dwarf fighter with tons of upgrades stacked on him. He's the one who's got party leader, as I said before. He's got Warhorse again. I think it's pretty necessary on him because he's slow. Power attack gives him hit to crit conversion. Potentially 2 hit to crit conversions with his special ability if he's making a melee attack at range 1. And in this case, he's got the Helm of Leadership to give him enough heroic slots to do all that. And I gave him Shield of Virtue and Sacred Plate Mail, which give him 2 crit to hit conversions when he's attacked, assuming he's attacked from the front arc with a shield. He can convert 2 crits back to hits. And I think that was a really fun thing. I'd like to see him be able to maybe do this build more often and see him really be able to tank some damage and be hard to get into. So that's my list, and let's see Jay's. So here's Jay's list. It's mainly built around Drizzt and Wrath Modar, I would say, but he starts out with Rezmir, the half-dragon fighter. She's got her minor acid breath for a little breath weapon action. Hazaron, her magic sword, gives her an extra die of damage and gives her an arcane slot on her upgrade bar. I would normally only take Hazaron if I was going to use that slot, but a die is a die. I think the lance is, obviously the lance is better. It's almost always better, isn't it? And she's got Blackguard's Mail, which gives her an armor value of 2, and lets her convert a crit to a hit, which is a good addition to her and probably necessary since she has 0 armor. It's a weird decision, I've always thought. Next we've got Anthar Froom. He's the paladin. He's got his warhorse and he's got an adamantine lance, and looks like that's all he needs. Again, if you look at his cost, he does pretty well with a very light loadout of upgrades, I think. Wrath Modar, the evil wizard, has spells Eldritch Blast, a pretty dependable spell you can always use. Small, only 2 dice, penetrating, but you can always use it. Doesn't disable. Mirror Image, defensive spell, and Disintegrate. Of course, this is his big Disintegrate attacker. Now he's got the Silver Staff, which if you look at it, it's not actually doing anything for the spells that he's picked really. And I wonder if he just picked it because he was looking at the points and didn't just picked it for filling out 200 points. I'm not sure, but that's what he's got. So we'll move on to Drizzt. He's got Elven Accuracy. Drizzt, of course, the Drow Elf Ranger, iconic in D&D fiction, and in the game. Elven Accuracy gives him penetrating. You can disable for penetrating damage on a ranged attack. Power attack lets him convert a hit to a crit on a melee attack, so he's got both ranged and melee options. Guinevere is his magic panther statue that comes to life that gives him an extra attack when he uses it. And Twinkle and Icing Death are his 2 swords. Sorry, I just think those are pretty silly names. Anyway, they give him some interesting benefits, and I think Jay just plain forgot to use him, if I'm not mistaken from looking at the tape. But it gives him a little defensive bonus, and gives him penetrating damage when he uses them. So really good when you remember. And finally, Mortimer Flax, the elemental air cultist rogue. He is riding his giant vulture, making him flying. He's got Disembowel, which lets him, which is a card he can discard to instantly remove a character if he deals killing damage to them. Assassinate lets him do more dice versus better attack versus a character who doesn't have him in his arc. Dagger of Venom puts out some poison damage. Not sure exactly how it works, but a pretty decent upgrade. And Wingwear lets him, again, it's a discard. He lets him discard his giant vulture in order to do a 6 dice attack once per game. And I'm not really sure how that's conceptualized, if he's sort of wearing some kind of feathered suit or something, but that's what it does. So there's Jay's list, and let's see how the game goes. Okay, here's the start of our game. I've deployed in a little line, keeping all my guys close together. My plan is to try to stay pretty tight so I can take the most advantage I can out of party leader. Of course, Jay is deployed in a spread out fashion on his side of the board, kind of a semicircle or an arc there. And it's going to turn out, though, that he can actually just converge on me, and then we'll meet in the middle, and he'll still be able to use party leader, and he'll perhaps have benefit of more flexibility in how he approaches. All told, I think it probably wasn't as necessary as I thought to stay tight. My ranger and druid pivoted. Actually, they're just staying put, and then my other pieces are going to move forward to create some space. And then I made a little mistake here. I moved that guy, moved Ulfgar to the right, but he actually had a 2 forward on his movement dial. They all did. Anyway, so there's not really going to be any combat happening here. We're just sort of trying to find our positions and home in on each other. So we'll go ahead and skip forward a little bit. So here's what it looks like at the top of round 2, and honestly, since most of round 2 is not very eventful either, we're still sort of slow poking forward. I'm actually going to cut quite a bit out. I don't think anything. It's still mostly just dodge tokens and the occasional concentrate right there, as things turned out. These first 2 moves are reasonably, Talon Everhale's turning in, thinking that she might get a shot off on Rezmir, and Rezmir is moving forward fairly quickly. But we'll go ahead and see where the people end up at the end of the round and see if any combat is possible. I think there was a little bit of combat. And so this is where we'll come back in as Jay is making Drist's move there. I've sort of decided I had to make a decision on what I was going to try to do with my guys, and I sort of turned in to the right to try to take care of Rezmir real quick, and then thinking I would then turn around and address the rest of his party. Owen Montes is sort of hanging out there in the end. He's in like the upper left corner. And he's likely to get a lot of flack from these guys, but he is pretty tough, I think built to take some hits. Here's Drist taking a shot at him from range 4 with 2 dice. I realize I kind of could have done a little more to set up the pieces. Since I skipped so much, it may not be clear who's who here, but down. You can see on my side, you can see Talon Everhale is sort of cocked to towards the bottom of the screen, and the druid is next to her facing forward. Then Owen Montes is at the top of my screen. I think that's a hit crit on Owen Montes with Drist's roll for his bow. And he's consulting some cards. I got 2 dodges, so with that 2 dodges on the dice and my dodge token on me, I am able to get out of having to take that crit. And as I was saying, Owen Montes was the guy who just took the shot there, and the other figure sort of facing Rezmir towards the bottom of the screen there is Ulfgar, and Nemestra is right next to him. And over, I think you can see Drizzt was the guy who just took a shot at Owen, and Rathmodar the wizard is pretty distinctive. He's standing right there next to him. On the other side of Drizzt from Rathmodar is Mortimer Flax holding his crossbow up in the air, and Ontharr Froome is sort of towards the center of the board on his side. And I think I was measuring to see if I could get some attacks on Rezmir. Ulfgar is gonna, yep, hit on Rezmir with his crossbow. Now Rezmir is going to roll a dodge, and then he's got Blackguard's mail, so he's not taking any of that damage. Mortimer Flax does have a shot on Owen as well, so he's gonna roll his two dice for that with his crossbow. It looks like 2 hits. I've got a dodge and to take care, and armor to take care of that, and still have a dodge. I think I was supposed to have used that dodge token already. Fortunately, it wasn't needed on that roll. Or maybe actually Drizzt rolled hit, and that makes more sense. I think Drizzt rolled hit, not hit, crit, and so I got 2 dodges on the dice, and the armor took the last one. That makes more sense. In any case, now Rezmir is going to Acid Breath. We're trying to figure out if he can get both of these. I mean, ultimately, when he set the ruler down, it displaced both of their bases, so that pretty much means they're both under it. Although it was so incredibly close. If only those bases had rectilinear sides instead of sloping sides, I might have gotten away. Anyway, unfortunately, no hits on Ulfgar. Or was that? Yeah, I think it was rolling for Ulfgar first. He does have a target token. He's going to go ahead and use it on Ulfgar. He's got 1 hit. 1 dodge for Ulfgar. And I think that's... I think it was 1 hit on Nemestra. I was supposed to roll 3 dice. I rolled 4. But she's got a target. She's got a dodge token, so I just spent the dodge token. And my little joke, I'm rolling all the defense dice. And mistakes were made. But overall, everything turned out okay. On to round 3. Incidentally, I checked for Talon's bow shot to Rezmir. I was pretty sure it was out. I mean, it's obviously out, but I checked anyway. Anyway, Talon is now turning towards the large mass of the party over there, kind of making me think I should have taken many shot. But, she takes a concentrate. And Rezmir will keep on moving forward. Seems to be where he wants to be. Or maybe it's not where he wants to be, since Jay is taking a dodge token. I think he's a little worried about Rezmir's fate there. And of course, he's probably planning on popping party leader this turn, giving him an extra token there, so he can do both offense and defense. I'm putting a concentrate on the druid. We're all definitely turning in towards the larger part of Jay's force. Paladin coming in, also homing in on Ulfgar and Nemestra. When I planned my moves, I was sort of thinking that there was a possibility that I'd end up... Rezmir would end up somewhere sort of outside of my arcs, sort of harassing me on the sides, and I was just sort of thinking that that would be fine, and I would just turn in and try to deal with the main bulk of the party and then deal with Rezmir later. But as it turns out, Rezmir ended up pretty much in a in a place where there's plenty of opportunity to have at him if that's what I want to do. It's looking like a charge on the paladin. He's just going forward doing his thing, and Mortimer Flax is moving forward. I think he asked me about Ulfgar's equipment, and then he went ahead and triggered Party Leader. So as you can see, tokens have sprouted up everywhere. Paladin took a target token in addition to his charge. Rezmir was out of range, but Drizzt and Rathmodar both took concentrate tokens off their free action from Party Leader. And Mortimer Flax, I think he's going to put down a dodge token. Later in the round, he realized that was an error, and he really should have put down a target token. I suggested doing a rewind on that, but he didn't want to rewind back that far. So he's going to end up putting a dodge token, and that's the play. There we have it, dodge and swoop token. Yeah, because he was forgetting, I think, that he needed the target to do assassinate. Is what he was thinking when he decided to swoop. All right, so it looks like we're about to move Ulfgar here. Funny story. I'm currently recording this about 3 weeks after the previous 5 seconds of voiceover. Yeah, Ulfgar's coming in. Right? Just things got busy. The holidays came up, and I'm sort of refreshing my memory about this game. I do know that Ulfgar, now that he's moved up into the side arc of Rezmir here, he's gonna party leader, and he gives himself a concentrate. He gives Nemestra a target, or she takes a target using her party leader enabled action dodge token on Dragonfly the Grey. And thinking about that, yeah, it's dodge. And I think we're going to see a target token also on Talon Everhail. I think that's probably the most useful thing for her. Let's go ahead and skip a bit. And there we go, target on Talon Everhail and target on Owen Montes. And that's Party Leader. Very powerful tool. Looks like we've got Rathmodar coming up next. He's going to turn in here. Ready to do some disintegrating, I would assume. And there we go. He's got the disintegrate target combo. Always scary when the target concentrate combo. Scary when you're going to be disintegrating. And now we've got Owen Montes moving forward with his target token. I suspect I'm going to put a charge on him. It's been 3 weeks. It's all new to me. It's like exciting again. I think it's a charge token. And Nemestra, well, pardon me, she's just going to bump Ulfgar and also take a concentrate, right? No, actually, it's a dodge. I remember now. I'm planning on using suggestion on Ontharfroom. I don't want to disintegrate yet because I've got pretty weak targets. I want to make sure I have my disintegrate up when basically when Drizzt comes into the battle. I want to be able to disintegrate him. He's pretty hard to handle, so I want to save my big guns for him. Here he's coming in to engage with, looks like Owen Montes. And there's his concentrate token from the party leader action, and he's taking a target. That's him loaded up, and it's going to be his turn to attack. he's looking at Twinkle and Icing Death. I think he would have had to have done an action to do Guinevere, or did he not have to? In any case, looks like a standard melee attack. I don't think there's a reason for him not to use Twinkle and Icing Death. Maybe he's just confused about how it works, or maybe he'll end up using it, but I don't remember him doing it. Reroll the target, and then with his Concentrate, 2 eyeballs, and then using Power Attack to turn one of those hits into a crit. We've got a dodge on Owen Montes, so he's taken dodge. And it looks like I think I'll show that crit in a minute. Looks like I did indeed deflect a hit with armor, so he must have forgotten to do Twinkle and Icing Death. Like I said, I don't really use Drizzt that often myself, so it's hard for me to keep track of what his upgrades are. I don't know. I might not have actually remembered to show that crit. Looks like it might be subdued. It's definitely putting an effect on him. I don't think it's subdued. I think it's the -1. No, it's the -1. -1 attack die, -1 defense die, whatever that is. And I am indeed having Nemestra put suggestion on Tharfroom. So I'm going to suggest him not to attack this round. Next we're going to do Owen Montes. Looks like he's cleaving. Good to get some use out of that upgrade. Flipping. Disabling Cleave, flipping Furious Blow, I believe, too, and targeting to... Wow. That would have been a time to have a Concentrate token. But that's 3 hits and a crit on Drizzt. Basically throwing my best stuff at him. And that's 3 dice. Looks like hitting the crit and going through. Yeah, he should have, again, he should have done Twinkle and Icing Death. He would have had an extra defense die. It's too bad about that. And now we're going to do our other cleave attack at Rath Modar. Looks like 2 hits and a crit. That'll do some damage. Oh yeah, he forgot to do mirror image. We've done that first. Hitting a crit on Rath Modar. If you have mirror image, there's really, I mean, you do it turn 1. That's what you do. Looks like the crit was crushed and he didn't roll an extra damage, so flipped it face down. So after Owen Montes, we are down to should it be Rath Modar or is it Ulfgar? It's Rath Modar. I think we can skip some. Alright, well, here we go. Yeah, Rath Modar. Casting Disintegrate. And wow. Alright, hit crit. Well, 2 hits. I'm just pointing out he can turn one of them into a crit with Disintegrate special effect. So hit crit on, looks like Owen Montes. The other crit is going to be, am I going to remember now? 2 time tokens, probably that no actions, probably no actions one. I don't think he's stunned. That's the problem with forgetting, or with trying to come back to a game 3 weeks later. Well, I'll just go ahead and soldier on. I think I'm moving on to Ulfgar. rolling to hit against Rezmir, and we're realizing we forgot something. I'm putting an extra hit on Owen Montes. I think. Just trying to correct. He forgot Rathmodar's special ability, which lets him re-roll a blank, and he had some blanks in there. So I went ahead and let him re-roll. I didn't want the result to be skewed by like just too much just forgotten abilities, like it already was with that forgotten ability on Twinkleizing Death. Just trying to keep it. I mean, ideally, the game should have the characters and their upgrades performing as best they can. I think, so you can really get an idea of what they're capable of. Something's happening over here. It looks like I ended up rolling a ridiculous amount of crits on Rezmir. Oh, Blackguard. Yeah, you forgot about Blackguard's mail. So one of those would. That looks like that was crushed, and is that fatigued? No, that's oh, that's stunned. That's right. Yeah, Rezmir got stunned, so he is not attacking this round, which is going to be a hard thing for him. Both Rezmir and Antar Froom are prevented from attacking. That's a lot of dice to take off the table for 2 turns. So it looks like that means we're moving on to Mortimer Flax, shooting at Talon? Or I think he was actually measuring to Owen Montes. We're looking at Assassinate. Seeing if he's in my front arc. And what it looks like is he's going to end up just making a basic range attack. And I think we made an error here. Or an error of judgment, because I think he was looking at Assassinate and thinking since it was a melee attack, you can only do it at range 1. But Assassinate specifically says that you can do it at range 1 or 2, which, I mean, that's definitely range 2, I think. So, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. In this case, not so much. Looks like I flipped a crit for some reason. This is getting confusing. Like we did a lot of retroactive correction of. Pardon my chair noise. A lot of retroactive correction of errors, just to try to keep the game error free. Yeah, I think we managed to. This is Talon Everhale shooting Rathmodar. Spencer concentrate for 3 hits. Going through. He's got, I think, 1 die. That's not looking great for Rathmodar. I think. Yeah, I think that's still a kill. So I think mostly we cleared up our rules errors, but I think there's still some just errors of lapses of card reading where we didn't get all we could have out of our cards. Or maybe Jay didn't. I think he was building in kind of a hurry. Things have been hectic for him lately. Anyway, round 4. It's hectic for everyone around the holidays. Anyway, Talon Everhale backed up and took an exhaustion token. Rezmir is still with that stun crit on him, is just running to try to get out of some arcs so she can recover from that stun. Dragonflight of Grey also backing up. And my logic here is just to sort of try to keep everyone in arcs. He's got a white backup because he's an elf. Apparently, they are nimble, so he gets his concentrate token. Might be able to use that command if I remember to do that. And should be on Dragonfly. Should be on our next. Yeah, we're checking to see if he's going to clear Ulfgar, but he's going to end up right about there. Got a suggestion on him still for this turn. So I'm thinking he's going to dodge. Yeah, dodge, and now I'm moving Ulfgar. This is a little premature. It's actually supposed to be Mortimer Flax, but we'll remember him in a little bit. Shouldn't affect the moves too much, I don't think. They're pretty far away from each other. Anyway, Ulfgar coming around to try to deal with Drizzt, I think, is the ultimate plan there. I thought about warhorsing that move, but decided to try not to get too close, leave myself some. And he's taking a concentrate. And here's the Mortimer Flax move. And he's going to, could fly over, but there's no real reason for him to, so he's just going to bump. And that's more or less the right position. I think I've said before that I'm not a huge fan of the positioning or rules about backing up off bump. Nope, I think he's going to fly over. Oh, I think he's still thinking he's got to be in range 1 to do his assassinate. So that's the flyover. And Mortimer's going to go ahead and dodge. So I cut out an extensive break where we had to consult the rules on whether you could do flyover when you're fainting. I mean, you can't, which, I thought that was the case. It's worth it to check. Owen Montes is going to pivot. And I'm just trying to make sure he's tracking where Drizzt is probably going to be, so I can keep putting force into Drizzt. And I went ahead and disabled those boots of balance so I could take an action after I pivot. You should use that more often. That boots of balance can really be clutch when you need it. We've got Nemestra also turning in. We're looking for targets. And she will True Strike, so something's going to get it this round. Another spell that I think is well worth it. And we'll go ahead and move on to Drizzt, and looks like he's going to get right up into Owen Montes' face. Thought he would be in that arc. I didn't necessarily know he was going to get right up base to base with me. It's like I threw a crit effect marker on him. No, flipped it face down. Don't remember what that crit was. Anyway. Oh, that's right. It was it was the one you needed to take an action to clear, so he just cleared it. Or he didn't clear it. All right. I'm losing track of what's going on here. I should just cut this all out, but that's a target token, so I guess he can take an action. Hitting crits, which is gonna end up being 2 crits with power attack, and no dodge, so we're taking both crits. That is looks like double damage and a crushed. Was that 2 crushed? I guess it was 2 crushed. Weird. Anyway, that's it for Owen Montes, but he's going to get his strike back. Here's our Disintegrate with True Strike, and that's That's gonna make a mark. I think we're doing that to Mortimer Flax, another slippery character with a lot of defense dice. I'm gonna try to push as much damage through on him as possible. And there's 4 defense dice for him. Two dodges. He's taking the rest of that down. Unless he's got something going on. No. Sweep in his upgrades. He still gets an attack this turn. In case we'll move on to Owen Montes' Swan Song attacking Drizzt, and that is a lot of. It's 2 hits, 3 crits. That's a thoroughly ridiculous roll. I can't really. I do feel that I went as all out on Drizzt as I could, but that's really more than you could hope for in a reasonable world. Oh, he's got that -1 defense die crit on him. Anyway, that's gonna kill him. A spectacular Arthur and Mordred situation with Drizzt and Owen killing each other. Now we're moving to Mortimer Flax. We skip Ulfgar. Flax has one more trick up his sleeve. He's got his Wingwear attack. 3 hits and a crit. Looks like it's going on the Mestra. 2 hits and a crit on the Mestra. Crit looks like debilitated. 1 hit and a crit. Oh, she. Yeah, there. That's correct. And Ulfgar's attack was irrelevant because everything he could attack is dead. That's why we didn't do Ulfgar. And of course, Ontharr Frume is still under the influence of suggestion. Rezmir is still stunned. Looks like we're doing. I think. Oh yeah, did Magic Stone. Use the Magic Stone to convert a hit to a crit, and then Blackguard's Mail converted it back to a hit. So non-penetrating. So that's what. And nothing from Talon Everhail. No damage getting through Rezmir's Blackguard's Mail. And we're pulling creatures, and it's looking a lot thinner now. Rezmir and not quite Talon Everhail. Not quite making it. Rezmir and Ontharr will be able to attack this turn, so we'll see. See if they can get anything done in, frankly, a pretty bad situation. Talon Everhail looks like she's taking her energy arrows there. It's going to help her get through Rezmir's get through Blackguard's Mail if she gets hits. Dragonfly is still backing up. What a champ. And I forgot to do an action. Oh well. He doesn't seem to be contributing very much anyway. Technically, I really should be using that command for something, but overrun check. We don't do this very often. All right, that's fine. He's going to get through. A ground unit passing through a ground unit, they both have to do an overrun check. And Ontharr rolled higher, which means he passes through instead of getting stopped. Meanwhile, Ulfgar trying to get around to deal with Rezmir. I was thinking that Talon was having a hard time getting through that armor, so Trying to decide if charging is going to how charging is going to affect my arcs, whether I might accidentally charge out of arc. Nemestra looks like a dog pile on Resmir there. Nemestra's action is going to be to disable leadership and throw a target token on Talon Everhail. Yeah, good timing, Nemestra. And I think she's got no attack, so I'm gonna go to Ulfgar, I believe. I've actually blocked up. Oh no, I'm still working on her action. Sorry, I could have cut a lot more if I'd realized what was happening. And she's gonna take a dodge, try to keep her alive. And like I said, no attack. Ulfgar looks like I've jammed up his charge with the Mestra, so oops. And he's just gonna shoot his crossbow at Resmir. Pretty good roll. Or not? No. Those were eyeballs. I thought they were crits for a sec. And Ontar Faroum. Might be range 2 to Nemestra. It's hard to tell from this angle. Okay, so he's actually going to measure to Ulfgar, and I added a crit effect token to Nemestra. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like 2 hits and a crit on Ulfgar with the Adamantine Lance. Pretty good performance for that attack. Sorry, 1 hit. Confused what happened there. We may have just did we just forget that he was hitting me with the lance? At the time we were playing, I mean, I wasn't looking at his what do you call it? Characters before we played the game. So at the time we were playing, I mean, I wasn't consciously aware of him having the lance or not. So again, unfortunate. Looks like we're doing. Oh, Resmir's doing his acid breath. Mister's gonna dodge that hit. Oh, she's got the crit with the -1 defense dice. And Ulfgar also dodging the hit. I don't know if we measured for the minor acid breath, but it's pretty clear that he can hit both Nemestra and Ulfgar with a range 4 line. And now we're shooting Resmir, using that target to get 3 hits, penetrating due to brilliant energy arrows. And that's Resmir can dodge 1, but that's still killing damage on Resmir. So that's all for her. And we did play round 6. Skip ahead a little bit, as you can see. Jay just wanted to see if he could get his paladin to finally get the kill on the Mestra. So here's what. Sorry about that. A little email alert. Here's what happened. Looks like we've got a crit, just a crit. No Mestra dodges, and looks like that is going to be game. And so that's that. I thought it was a pretty interesting game, even though it ended up being a bit of a blowout. And as usual, we did have a few rules problems, but we got to see what party leader could do. I think it's interesting. It's fun. I enjoy playing the adventuring party type of list, and I'll definitely be on the lookout for ways to do that in the future. And hope you enjoyed watching, and hopefully it won't be. Well, it might be a while. I don't know if the next one is going to be out before Christmas, just because things are kind of crazy. But I'll see what I can do. I do have another game footage in the can. I just need to voice over and process that after I get this up. So we'll see. Hopefully not too long. and I will see you then.